Hi, and welcome to the Spark The Heartz podcast. My name is Lizzie, and I'm an intuitive energy channel and a Reiki practitioner. This podcast is a safe space where we talk about spirituality, energetics, cycles, rebirth, and so much more. So while I'm in your field of awareness today, I hope you tune into the frequency of this episode with an open heart and a new sense of curiosity. As a reminder, you're a sovereign being, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to this week's episode. I hope you've been having a great couple of weeks in between. I know I have been having a difficult time with change, me personally, and having to be reminded of when it's time to let go and let God, even when things look crazy and we just don't understand how everything is just popping up around us. It's the chaos. I was highly stressed and just not okay, to be honest. But through the process of being able to hug my husband, go outside, sit in the grass, express my feelings, and communicate with my voice what my body was feeling, it helped me really anchor in this awareness that change is coming. And it feels like big change. And though I may not truly like what it feels like right now, I had to be reminded to invite in support. I literally cried to the stars at night and asked for support from my ancestors, angels, and the star beings. And just have been taking the steps to take care of me. And through the process, it brought me back to me instead of being outside of who I am, and just reminding myself of why I do the things that I do and why I'm here. So this week's podcast episode is going to center around the power of your voice. And I feel like as of recently, I've had to have hard conversations on multiple levels. And while I was in the shower earlier this week, this idea came into my head that this is the podcast theme for this episode, to remind you guys of the power of your voice and how communication, not only within you, but outside of you, is important, and how much power you hold to create change. So before I get into it, I did draw a card. I just kind of wanted to share how I'm doing. I know you guys tune in, and at this point, in order for us to build a relationship, I gotta let you know how I'm doing. But at the same time, I'm curious to know, how are you? If you are following me on any of my social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, drop me a line there. If you're on a platform where you're tuning into this podcast episode and you're able to leave me a message and communicate how you've been, I would love to hear from you. I truly hope that if you're in the midst of change, me sharing that little tidbit right now reminded you of it's okay. Sometimes things need to get chaotic so that the things that are no longer serving us get cleared out. And so that we have the awareness of, where do we want to go next? What do we want to do next? Where do we want to come back and be more of ourselves without the extra stress of it all? I'm going to go ahead and share the card reading for you guys now. The card that I pulled today is Guardian Angel, and it's from the Kyle Gray Angels and Ancestors Oracle Cards Guidebook. The message of this card for you guys today is: watch for signs and reminders from your angels and loved ones that they are close by. Remember, they are working hard to guide you. The Guardian Angel card shows the white feather that has become known as the Guardian Angel's business card. Whenever a white feather appears in your life or this card appears in your reading, it's a message to say your guardian angel and ancestor guides are particularly close at this time and are there to support you with their love. If you have asked for help with a particular situation, know that there is divine intervention in the works. Everyone has a guardian angel who has been with them in all of their past lifetimes and will be there in all of the lifetimes to come. So know that you are never alone and never will be alone. This card is a huge reminder that there is always help and support available to you. Your guardian angel is with you now and is here to aid you in all of your endeavors. In order to fully receive their support, first ask for it, then surrender to the process. Know that whatever unfolds will be for your highest good. And honestly, because of what's been going on in my life, I just thought, oh my goodness, my intention was to pull one card for me and one for this podcast episode. And both messages just left me thinking, I'm truly divinely supported, and so are you guys. So take a moment. You're listening to this podcast right now. I just wanted to remind you to invite your guardian angel in, to invite them in whatever situation has been heavy for you guys. You can say this out loud with your inner voice. Your voice has power. Doesn't matter if it's spoken out loud, written in words, or within your being. It has a frequency and an energy it emits. And in you taking the moment to invite in your guardian angel and ask for support in any shape, form, or way, with any difficulties, anything that you have been feeling as of lately is of great support. I just wanted to remind you guys of that and just say, what a perfect day or what a perfect card to really anchor that in for us today. I'll be sharing a photo of this card because it's so beautiful. It's this deep blue with the white feather, and it has the Merkaba in the background with an eye, a crescent moon, and other beautiful geometric symbols that really stand out. And the message below goes, you are not alone, and you're not. One of my main intentions is for you to not feel alone when you tune into this podcast episode, to feel seen, heard, and understood. In order to do that, I have to share parts of myself. And I feel when I'm able to get vulnerable with you guys, it's a reminder that you can do it with yourself too. And my intention for this podcast episode is to remind you of the power your voice holds. Your voice, whether it's inside of you or outside of you, emits more than just words. It literally is a frequency in this reality, and it emits signals outside of you. The tone of your voice lets others know. The tone of your voice lets others know what is going on internally within you. And the reason I say this is because I feel like a large part of us have hidden behind not showing emotion, trying to control how we're perceived, and not wanting to express when we aren't okay all the time. And to be honest, it's okay not to be okay. But I don't want you out here pretending you are okay and ignoring the big things inside of you that are asking to be expressed, that are pushing up within your heart, begging to be spoken, and they fall short of your lips. I've had moments where I've had to use my voice, and it was nerve-wracking. You think, oh, I have a podcast episode. She must be so comfortable with public speaking, must be so comfortable with expressing. It took years to build up the courage to use my voice in this manner. And even to accept that no matter what I do, even if people don't understand it, that's okay. I just know what it feels like to have such a big world inside of me and feel like if I were to speak words, people just couldn't comprehend the depth of my emotions, the depth of my thoughts, or how much feeling I held within. And that goes to not feeling safe. And so if you can think back to times where you shut down your voice, didn't express, didn't speak up for fear of how your words, how your tone would be received, I want to remind you, don't do that anymore. You're now an adult. You're now who you are. And it's important to express how you feel, what's going on within, so that it doesn't stay bottled up inside. If you're fearing how it will hit somebody's emotions, how it will be received, I want to just tell you, it's okay to not know, but don't let the fear of the what ifs stop you from expressing your internal world. It's important. As someone who would bottle in her emotions, who would automatically think, oh, they should know what I'm thinking, I can honestly say it is uncomfortable to express at first. But once you get comfortable with being uncomfortable and you practice speaking up and saying the things that have felt heavy within you for a long time, it gets easier. And you don't feel so small inside or so bundled up or like a ball of nerves within you. If anything, it's like they come unraveled and you realize, oh, I can speak my mind. It can be received. But it also takes a sense of discernment to a certain degree to know what type of conversations do you want to open up and use your voice with. Your voice has magnificent power to communicate things that are unseen, things that are not felt by another, as well as your viewpoints. How many times have you ever caught yourself describing a situation and somebody on the other end has ever told you, oh, I didn't see it that way, or I've never heard it expressed that way? You create this bridge of communication through the frequency of your voice. And when the person is receptive of the signals you are emitting with your voice, it creates this sense of connection, this sense of understanding. Your voice is a powerhouse, whether you use it in the form of writing, whether you vocally use it as a singer. I can tell you how many times I have been in places and I hear someone's voice and there's a tone to it. I remember meeting this gentleman one time and he was speaking to me and I said, what do you do for a living because your voice sounds different? And he just looked at me and he tells me, oh, I'm a psychiatrist. And I said, your voice is very different. It's soothing. It, like when you talk to me, something told me you don't do like a regular 9-to-5 job. Your voice is really soothing and had this energy behind it. And I just thought, I found it interesting. There has been moments in time where there are people's voices who I've come into interaction with where they're super soft and the environment around is so loud and I have to ask them to repeat themselves. It just showed me how uncomfortable they were with getting louder than what the environment around them allowed them to be. And so I want to also remind you, if your environment is chaotic and hasn't made you feel safe to express your voice with words, are you expressing it through art? Are you expressing it through your writings? Do you have a platform to share your voice, even if everything around you makes you feel unsafe to do so? There has to be an outlet because your voice is a space that is asking you to take the unseen by another, the unfelt by another, and to let it be known. And this is why your voice is a powerhouse. It's a bridge of communication of your inner world to somebody's other inner world. And only you can express how you feel, can create something from your vocal cords that is unlike someone else's. My voice doesn't sound like yours, and that's okay. But I also want you to leave, once you tune into this podcast episode, knowing how important your voice is and the expression of it. When you use your voice, you allow others to hear you. And not saying that someone who doesn't use their voice is not powerful, because I've met a lot of people who have walked into rooms and their presence emits a frequency that their voice didn't need to do for them. But when I would speak to these individuals, they had this presence that guarded off the people that weren't allowed to hear their voice. And what I mean by that is, one of my friends' father is the sweetest man ever. But when you see him, he looks like you do not want to talk to him. Very intimidating. You think it'd bother him for you to speak to him. But in reality, when he would come in and like open up and have a conversation with me, I would just think, this man is the nicest man in the whole world. And he is so sweet. And I just thought to myself, wow, So once I got a feel for his energy and how much of a teddy bear he was, he presented himself in a certain package so that those that did not align with his energy weren't allowed to get close. And so I want you to question if you're one of those people that don't speak up very much, but you carry this air and this energy about yourself that you're projecting out or emitting out, this frequency of don't fuck with me. But when you really get to know you, are you that teddy bear too? Because after I had those interactions, I started to find myself looking for people that emitted that same frequency to test it. And I realized that it was the same type of thing. I got behind the wall of I'm protecting myself from somebody who isn't worth my time. And once I got past that wall, I got to see how awesome, how sweet, how loving these individuals are. And I just thought, sometimes we are shown to have a hard exterior to survive in this world because not all of us come from safe environments, and that's okay. But if you can recognize that somebody with a hard shell can have a soft heart, I think we can do a lot more change and understanding in this world. And I share that because though I'm highlighting the aspects of the power of your voice, I also want to highlight the power of your inner voice. Because these individuals that I have come into contact with don't always use their vocal cords, don't always use their voice, but their inner voice speaks volumes. Their body language emits this so that I could know. I want to remind you that your physical voice attracts your tribe, attracts the people that are meant for you when you step into its power. If you are changing the tone of your voice, if you are, and I want to say using your customer service voice, and I say this because I used to wait tables at a Red Robin back in my early 18 to 20s. And I remember having my customer service voice and it would be high pitch to please the customers, to take their orders, to give off this perky energy of it's so happy to be here, but I'm tired as heck. I've waited so many tables or I've had to deal with people just not being happy. I couldn't show that. It was part of the persona I had to play in order to get tips, in order to do this. So this is what I'm saying. Don't mask your voice. Let it be heard in the ways that it needs to be. I've had people mask their voice when they're in trouble. And, it's natural to want to please another person or to not get in trouble if by doing something bad and changing your voice. But I've noticed that. And I don't know if this is something that you've noticed in your life, that people switch their voices up depending on who they are interacting with. And I want you to kind of carry that knowledge and ask yourself, have you ever had a job that required you to switch your voice? And I'm thinking, you guys are probably thinking about all the Instagram and TikTok reels, talking about customer service voice, and where they hang up the phone, they're like, fuck that bitch. And I laugh because I've had jobs like that. And I have felt like that. Let's get real. But at the same time, I want you to ask yourself, do you mask your voice with the people who are important in your life? Do you mask your voice when it comes time to be vulnerable? Have you allowed yourself to open up your true voice so that others can hear your frequency that you emit? And if this is feeling like, what are you even saying to me, Lizzie? I want you to just get real with yourself and ask or tune into your own voice, that inner voice. And you can ask yourself this question in your head: what is my inner voice? And listen to it. How does my inner voice make me feel? When I ask this to myself, can I recognize the voice that's within me? I know what my inner voice is like, and I know what my outer voice is like. And I can tell the difference of when my guides come close to me and when they're far, but I know the dialogue of my voice. And I want to remind you of this because sometimes we may think this thought or this idea or this verbiage that came to mind was mine. Sometimes there's thought forms and ideas that are floating in the ethers that we just walk into because everybody's just leaving their energy behind or around. And I just wanted to remind you of what is yours and not yours. How to tap into the voice that really says how you feel, how you see the world, what you think. It's important. And it's important because this is your life. No one will ever see this world like you do. No one will ever feel like you do. And no one will ever have the capacity to express themselves, whether it's through paper, through art, through singing, speaking, whether it's through your body language. You're emitting a frequency at all times. And I wanted to remind you that this is very powerful because it brings what is unseen into the physical realm, what is unfelt, unheard into the physical realm. And your voice is very much tied into this. So don't ever forget the power of your voice. And that's what my intention was for you to remember. Your voice has the power to express what's going on with you, to speak up against injustice, to really invoke a change. I've been working out as of lately, and I got to experience my inner voice when there was workouts, especially push-ups. And I found myself saying within me, this is hard. And then I turned around automatically and said, but we can do hard things. We've always done hard things. And I said, I can do hard things. And I pushed through and I finished that workout and I felt better. And it's also about training your inner voice to support you and be your biggest friend, because it has the power to propel you forward in difficult times and moments where you feel lost and things just feel chaotic. Sometimes those ideas or those thought forms just feel heavy. And trust me, I know, because I was in it. Luckily, I was able to have that circle around me to communicate, use my voice, let them know how I was feeling, what was going on with me, and truly express it in a way where I gained the support to self-soothe. So ask yourself, what do you use your voice for? How do you view your voice? Is it one that supports you? Or is this topic very uncomfortable for you? For a large part of my life, I was so uncomfortable with using my voice because I felt like I had to repeat myself over and over for someone to understand me. And that's when I realized some moments may ask for me to speak up, but not all of them. And so I had to gain the awareness of when was the right moments? When did I feel like my voice needed to be used? And that's where the wisdom came in, is knowing the energetic pulls and what I needed to do. And that took a lot of mess ups. That took me putting my foot in my mouth multiple times, me realizing people can't really hear me. And I felt the energy. I can honestly tell you, there's been times there's been a conversation and, you throw out the joke and nobody laughed when I would say the joke, but somebody repeated the same thing I just said and they heard them. And I thought, there's something about my energy that's trying to poke into this, but it's not well received here. And I had to take a look at the circle around me and decide, if they cannot hear me, they're not resonating with my frequency. And then when I came around circles and I would do the same thing where I would say the joke, maybe not as high, but low, the people would pick it up. And I would say, oh, they are of my frequency. So pay attention to your environment, because the people who are hearing you are the ones that are connecting to your voice, are the ones that feel that connection to you. That bridge that expanded through your vocal cords, that energy that you emitted out, that fractal line expression of who you are was received because it was the same type of frequency that connected. So today I just hope that you leave feeling pumped up to connect to your voice in ways that you maybe haven't done for a while. I'm going to put some journal prompts in the show notes of this episode in case you like to write them down. But as always, I like to ask the questions while I'm talking on this podcast episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a blast getting to talk to you guys. Love you and bye for now. Thank you for tuning in today. To stay up to date on all my happenings and offerings, I invite you to follow me on my YouTube channel and Instagram, which is at Spark The Heartz with the Z at the end. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, please see the links to my booking page and website on the show notes of this episode. Thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to our next gathering. Bye for now.